You know what? Hey, cut the music. Cut the music. Hey, cut the music. Hey, I'm gonna say something and it's gonna hurt somebody. Okay, somebody's gonna get hurt, and I want you to know that right now. I'm coming in a little hot today. If AI has made you a 10x better dev, you were a 0.1 dev to begin with. Let's go. Let's go. Get wrecked. Get absolutely wrecked. Anyways, tech existed.
If you have watched as much programming YouTube as I do, you've probably come across these takes from popular content creators saying like LLMs are useless for programming, AI code generation doesn't really work, the tools are a little bit worthless. And there's maybe some truth to this, like for example, I tried GitHub Copilot, it didn't really suit my work style. However, I've come across enough of these takes and they're outrageous enough that I kind of wanted to react to some of it. But just in general, I find the online discourse on LLM code pretty fascinating. It seems like people are living two completely different experiences. For example, in this Hacker News thread, you see this pattern that seems to repeat over and over in this discourse, which is some people saying that LLM code generation works very well, and then immediately other people coming to say that it doesn't actually work at all. First you have LLMs are revolutionary, then you have not useful for my work or my coworkers. So how come people are having such different experiences on this topic? I don't know the exact answer, but I think there's a couple common explanations. Number one is prompting. You're just prompting the model wrong. You're getting the wrong outputs because you're not prompting correctly. Or you're using the wrong model. If you just used the right model, you would get better results. But what I actually suspect is the main reason is that LLMs just work much better on certain type of problems and with certain languages such as Python and with certain frameworks that are well represented in the training data and so on and so forth. So maybe people are just seeing very different performance from LLMs because they're asking them to do different things. But anyway, let's look at some examples from the programming YouTube. So this was actually the video that made me wanna respond in the first place. From NeetCode, why is everyone lying? Let's have a look.
There's this tweet from Gary Tan, who runs a Y Combinator right now. And so he's reacting to a post that was made on Reddit.
So this post has made it from Reddit to Twitter to YouTube and to YouTube reaction.
Feeling very powerful as a technical founder with Claude Sonnet 3.5. It's mind-blowing how quickly I can move. And they're not saying LLMs in general, but specifically Claude.
I personally actually have not even tried Claude Sonnet yet. I'm in Europe and the access is a little bit harder to get. So I'm doing my programming with GPT-4, different versions, but I still find it to be very useful, so maybe Claude would be even better for me.
Like, I'm pretty sure I could implement copies of the technical parts of most popular apps in the App Store 10 times as fast as I could before LLMs. I still need to make architectural and infrastructure decisions, but stuff like programming the functionality of a UI component is 10 times faster now, and this results in such fast iteration speed.
I find myself actually agreeing with the original Reddit post in a lot of respects. So I find even GPT-4 is extremely good at generating like UI elements and widgets if you provide just a description of what kind of UI widget you would like. It does generally pretty damn good job, I would say. So I actually have pretty much zero problems with this original statement. Maybe the 10x is a little hyperbolic, but as someone who is solo building my commercial app at the moment, I do find it very useful to use LLMs for generating the UI code. So this original post resonates with me quite a bit.
Iteration of a UI component is 10 times faster now, and this results in such fast iteration speed. And they kind of outline the steps to do that. I think they're completely right when it comes to like code snippets and like small pieces of code. LLMs have been pretty good, and it seems like they're improving. Claude is even better now.
So it starts off actually being pretty reasonable. He also agrees kind of with the original post. However, what comes next seems a little weird to me and also a little bit contradictory to the original sort of lukewarm positive statement.
What exactly are you guys coding, or is anybody coding, where LLMs are making the work 10 times as fast? It's baffling to me. I've been using them the last couple of years just like everybody else, and I feel like I'm pretty familiar with their limitations. And I made a response to this because I genuinely meant this sincerely. I just don't understand. Am I not doing it right? Anytime I need to accomplish something of medium difficulty, LLMs waste my time.
So next he poses a challenge for people to implement some features from his website.
This person, I'm not going to insult them. I have nothing against them. I don't even know who they are. But I respect this person because they took time out of their day to actually try it out. And so the first screenshot they sent, though, was not promising. They're using Devin AI. Whoa, guys, now I'm nervous. Devin AI. It's definitely going to put me out of business pretty soon. And I said looking forward to it. And so with a day of prompting, this is how far they got. Let me show you. Sure, it's not pretty. There's no dark theme. It's not pretty, but like the main functionality looks like it's there, right? I mean, I don't know why there's a progress bar on the home page. My site did not have that, but you know, hallucinations are a thing. And so there's a bunch of pages and it looks like the content is kind of there.
So I think the approach that this person was taking is kind of wrong. I know Devin is supposed to be able to do like larger tasks in one go because of the whole structure of trying the outputs in the live browser and having like a feedback loop and doing like multiple steps and planning. However, that part is not quite ready yet, and I think if you want to use these tools effectively, you should just stick to more immediately achievable goals instead of just in one prompt trying to copy a whole website. So this is already kind of bad starting point in my opinion. Indeed, it would be incredibly impressive if any AI, Devin or otherwise, could implement a whole website from scratch. I mean, it's always easier to add stuff where there's already some structure and sort of the basic core is already there, then you can just add features a little bit easier. And this is also like in some UI frameworks or some frameworks in general, it's easier to just add little modules on the top.
This roadmap feature, right? Wow, like AI did this. That is kind of impressive. I mean, it doesn't really do anything right now, but look at mine. It's not about the functionality, the feature parity, but this is very different from this one. You're probably thinking, okay, well, it got you like 50% of the way there, however you want to calculate it. It got you pretty close. At the very least, AI was able to save time. But the problem is, I don't think this component is even compatible. Like, no matter which human or how hard they try or how smart they are, I don't think a human would be able to fix this and make it like mine or even close to mine with a progress bar with actual functionality.
So this is all true. This widget is basically unusable in this state, but I think it all comes back to the starting point of like not giving enough instructions to the AI. Like, let's be real, these kind of components, you want them to behave in a specific way, and you should ask for that specific behavior very explicitly. If you just like, make this website, it's not gonna come out very good. But this is not really good evidence that AI cannot do this widget. So let's actually try a little bit of proper prompting and see how far we can get in generating this widget. And of course, I already did this, and it basically worked with GPT-4. So you don't even need clouds on it or anything. So let me go through a little bit of the prompts and also the results. So first of all, I'm doing this in Python and with the Python Qt framework. So it's maybe not completely apples to apples comparison because Qt is not web. And you could argue that maybe the LLMs are worse in JavaScript than Python. But if you had a tool that wrote perfect Python and was a little bit worse at other languages, that would still be a very valuable tool, I would say. So let's see what came out of this experiment. So the first prompt is just draw me this widget. It should have some boxes and some layouting. And the first version had a problem where each one of the boxes was storing the selected status individually. So I said only one of the widgets can be selectable. And also I said draw some arrows between the boxes because the specification has some arrows between them. So here's the first version after 2 prompts. Ignore the window in the background. I just made this as a pop-up in my existing project. So in this version, you have the basic layout and you have selectable buttons. It doesn't look very good, but let's say the very basic functionality is kind of there. And just to be clear, this code came exactly from GPT-4. I copy-pasted this. I didn't have to change basically anything. Just a little bit of the arguments to make it runnable and a little bit of the colors to make it more visible. So the next 2 prompts were just about styling, making it look prettier. I asked for nicer arrows, nicer rectangular boxes. The 4th prompt I asked for thicker arrows, different colors, better progress bar. And again, all of this code I just copy pasted as is. So here it is after just 4 prompts and copy pasting the code. It's starting to look pretty nice in my opinion. Then I remembered that one of the specifications was that it needs to be movable. So my last prompt was basically just make the thing movable. This one was actually the first one that I had to retry a couple of times, but it was mostly because my prompt was leading it on to the wrong direction. So with my first attempt, I tried to be very smart and told it a little bit about how to do it. I told it to keep a global translation, and instead of moving the widgets, it could just move the translation around. But after seeing the code, I realized that's actually wrong. And then when I asked for it to just move the widgets, basically, again, everything worked out of the box. I didn't have to change anything. So here's the final version of the widget, which is now movable. So this is after 5 prompts and a little bit of experimentation, but I take 100% blame for the mistakes because I was just feeding it wrong ideas or like harder than necessary ideas of how to implement this thing. And this is actually one concrete piece of advice I can give when using LLMs for code generation, is that you should definitely use the edit message functionality, for example, that is in ChatGPT, because like if you try to continue after things have gone off the rails, then it's very difficult to get the conversation back onto the proper solution. But when you go back and edit message where you see that the failure occurred, you have, at least I find that you have much better chances of actually getting the correct output next time. And this whole exercise took like 20 minutes to do, like I said, 5 successful prompts. It's really not that difficult to verify that this actually works, and it works very well and naturally. None of my prompts were very esoteric or anything. I did give it a little bit of instructions, like concrete instructions of what to do, but at some point I also failed in my concrete instructions. So I would say this is undoubtedly very useful tool. Like NeetCode said in his video, this is not the most complicated problem in the world. He made this widget when he was a junior engineer, but it's like a nice little usable widget. And I definitely, when I'm working on my projects, hobby or commercial, I use this all the time to make UI. I actually want to show one of the almost completely AI generated, a little bit more complex UI components in my program at the moment. So here's my current project. This is a video editing software. It has some nifty features like it does local transcriptions and it does lossless cutting. So one of the tools here is a vertical video transform, which you can use to convert your landscape form videos into vertical videos for TikTok or YouTube Shorts, for example. So the way this works is that you just click enable vertical transform here. And then the preview is updated to show you what the final output would look like in vertical form. And right now there's 2 views active, and the views are basically mappings from the input video to the output video. And this visualization here is showing you which part of the input gets mapped to where in the output. So right now this webcam position is wrong, so I can just drag and drop from here and try to find where the webcam position actually is in the input video until it's about right. Well, I can move it a little bit closer. Something like this. And the other view is just the rest of the screen, which gets mapped to the bottom. I could play with this more to make it fit better. However, the main point is that this component that controls the views and the mappings from the input to the output video and the whole vertical transform thing, this was like 80 to 90% generated by AI, generated by ChatGPT 4, including the visualization, the whole mapping, this form that sort of shows you the underlying data and lets you edit it. Also, this whole thing is serialized and stored on the disk and then loaded. And there's quite a bit of useful functionality here, I would say. So from my personal experience, I would say you definitely should not sleep on using AI as a tool. Like this whole tool took me maybe like 6 hours to make, and I definitely would not have made it in 6 hours without all of the code being generated by LLM. So maybe the fact that I could not have made this in under 6 hours on my own means that I'm a bad programmer or something, but I'm willing to take that L. Anyway, Primeagen also reacted to this NeetCode video, so let's see if there was something juicy in the Primeagen's reaction.
And they're not saying LLMs in general, but specifically Claude. Like, I'm pretty sure I could implement copies.
Quick question. Is Claude that much better? I'm saying it right? Okay, let's go. Sonnet. I thought it was Sonnet. Everyone keeps telling me that Claude is actually good. Like, actually good. It's definitely Sonnet. Okay, Claude is good. A bit better. Not just good, just better. Okay, no, not good, but better.
Okay, so in the beginning, Prime sort of admits that he doesn't actually know how good Claude is, and he's gonna try it out later. I do take a little bit of an issue with this admittance of ignorance combined with some of the upcoming statements.
Documentation search, it's actually pretty good at. Like if you want to do good stuff with documentation, I feel like an LLM is actually really, really good. Summarize this and give me like the 3-sentence answer. It's very great at. But everything else, I've yet to find something that it's good at that I actually could use it in principle for programming.
Then maybe, sure. Like that was my hypothesis, and it's from experience. And I said I would love to watch a non-technical person create NeetCode.io. And this was actually more in response to another tweet I saw that was saying that like non-technical people can now be founders and build tech companies, which
by the way,
I humbly would disagree with. And
I non-humbly disagree with. I wholeheartedly disagree that if you're not a technical person and you think you can found a technical company because you can use Cloud Sonnet.
This is of course true, but this is also something that I don't think nobody really that knows anything is arguing for. So this whole thing about non-technical founders, I think it's a little bit of a distraction. But this is also like a good example of moving goalposts. Like I hope it's clear that the distance from useful coding assistant to able to completely do something as a non-technical founder, there's like a huge gap in assistant capabilities there. And like this is not really very fair criticism of LLMs as coding assistants.
It's going to have to be rewritten from scratch, and it's been a day, and I think they gave up. I don't think they're going to keep trying. If they do, I'll update you guys, because again, I don't have anything against this person. But again, it's...
Prime, what if it gets better? How much better? Like, how much better does it have to get? It has to get a lot better. We're talking a lot better.
I don't think LLMs have to get any better. I think they're very useful tools right now, and I think if you don't use them out of principle, I think you're gimping your ability to ship products and ship code. Yes, I will admit that maybe if you're using some other technologies besides Python and Qt, maybe if you're using C or maybe you're doing Rust or Zig or something, maybe the LLMs are going to perform much worse. However, those are just technical choices that you have made or your organization has made, and it's not really downside of LLMs so much as it's like a choice that you've made before that sort of limits your ability to use these tools, which is understandable. Different technologies have different advantages, and that's nothing new. But saying that LLMs cannot produce shippable code or are not useful coding assistants, that's just wrong. And I think Prime could very easily see this if he tried to do this task, for example. Like I said, I made my GPT-4 version of this widget in like about 20 minutes. It's not that difficult. If you ask, it will even give you like instructions on how to install Python and how to install all of the Qt libraries you need. And you could very easily do this from scratch. And I do believe that the whole experiment would take you less than 20 minutes, and maybe it would change your mind a little bit on the capabilities and like how useful these agents are for programming. I just take a little bit of an issue when first he says, oh, how good is this? I don't really know. And then says, oh, but they are so shit and they need to get a lot better to be useful. This doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, here's just one more example of these LLMs are useless videos, this time from InternetOfBugs. So the title is AI Coding Crap.
Like Devin, Claude was given a really easy problem to work on, and it did a lousy job. Although unlike Devin, or most of the demos I called out in my AI hype video, there aren't blatant factual falsehoods here, just things that Claude got wrong and the video glossed over.
So this one again has this pattern of sort of admitting that they're useful, but then also saying that they are crap. So the chapter titles are like, AI code is not good, Claude got these things wrong, the test code was even worse. It sort of creates this narrative that the AI coding assistants are not very useful. But the reason why I wanted to show this example is actually if you go into the comments, I saw this one. I saw this funny one from Levers of Power, where they're saying, oh, I'm having a great time developing with Sonnet, and it's very useful for me. And InternetOfBugs actually replies with, oh, I program with Copilot as well. So I just found this example particularly funny because when somebody says, oh, but it's just a tool, and it's actually very useful as a tool, people sort of, even these very negative people, seem to generally just agree that yes, it has very good use cases, but it's just like moving goalposts, or like it's advertised wrong and there's false marketing and overblown hype, which is all true, but I just don't understand where the drama is coming from, kind of. And I guess in a way this video is also contributing to the drama, but the main message really is just, it's a tool, try it, use it, see what it does well, see what it does a little bit worse, and use it any way you want to make yourself as productive and ship as much stuff as you can. And I just find a lot of these very negative takes to be hilarious. And maybe some of them are exaggerating for entertainment value. I understand that, of course. You have to make entertainment in the showbiz and on YouTube. But it's also a little bit disingenuous in my opinion. And I just wanted to, make this response a little bit.